It's going to be such a fantastic show. Ladies and gentlemen, we have tonight founder of App Camp for Girls, Ms. Jean MacDonald. Give it up. From XOXO Festival and Upcoming.org, Mr. Andy Baio. From Bridgetown Comedy Festival and Helium Comedy Club, Mr. Zach Toscani. Very funny guy. We've got sketch comedy performing for you live from Livewire Radio. We've got musical guest Adam Shearer and the Alialujah Choir. Give it up. So much more. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for your host, Mr. Alex Falcone.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Look, standing room only. Isn't that amazing when you don't have enough chairs? That's a great trick. Thank you guys. This is going to be such a cool show. I'm so glad you're all here for it. We're going to start out with some news. One of my favorite stories that happened in the news this week was a Southeast Portland man is suing the city and the Portland Police Department because he claims a police officer entered his house illegally and tracked mud on his nice carpet. Yeah, he called the fashion police too, but they were late as always. That's all right. I'll give you a second if you want to groan at it. In other news, a Gresham resident is suing there because the cops dragged some carpet on his nice mud. It's more your speed. Okay, good. Seriously, you guys, do not sue the Portland police. They need to save their time and money for legitimate wrongful death suits. We hit 3 different bases in that first joke. We found out where people were.
Too soon.
Wait a day, it'll be too soon again. Those guys, man. Oh, this is great. Kissing chickens may make you sick, according to a very non-judgmental article in the Oregonian this week. Surprising they didn't have more of an opinion on that. Yeah, it turns out that they did a study and that 10% of chicken owners admit to kissing their chickens. And apparently that can give you salmonella. So if you're the kind of person who feels like kissing a chicken, go for it. That's good for everybody. In Roseburg, Oregon, a woman's body was found on a disc golf course. Yeah, quote one of the frolfers, "It's a shocking thing, really. I can't get the image out of my head. I mean, a real woman on a frisbee golf course. I just can't believe it." Salt and Straw announced they're going to be opening an LA location. Whoa. Did you guys see that? It's pretty cool, right? I can't wait to see if the ice cream tastes any different when it's served by actors. I'm also looking forward to the way they infuse local ingredients. I'm looking forward to the smog sorbet or the salted caramel with ribbons of broken dreams. I think that'll be a good one. Oh, also, just so you guys know, the line will still be starting in Northeast Portland. A fisherman's dog was rescued from the Sandy River by sheriff's deputies. Also, the next day, the Portland police rescued a family of ducklings from a storm drain. My point is, don't get murdered this week. The cops are busy. A Willamette Week endorsement interview got heated last week when one of the candidates caught the reporter just writing blah, blah, blah in his notes. The candidate was really upset. He said, "It's just offensive, wah, 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 wah." I don't care either. Let's do a little bit of tech news, right? That seems appropriate. One of my favorite tech stories is still, I think it's still in the rumor stage, not quite confirmed, but Apple is going to be buying Beats by Dre, the headphone manufacturer, for $3.2 billion. Yeah, I mean, it's a great fit, right? Both make overpriced items to make white people feel cool. So it's a good fit. No word yet on if anybody wants to buy rap lyrics by Dre. That was a head fake. It looked like tech news, then it was a joke about rap music. He's a better producer than rapper. That's all my point. I think that's what you need to know to get that joke. An Oregon doctor created a new form of sonogram that uses Google Glass so you can see through your skin in real time, and at the same time you can see that your doctor's A Washington County man called 911 because he said he couldn't find any weed. Asked the operator if she knew where he could get some. She said no, which is a pretty good answer when you're sure the cops are listening. This is cool, we actually got the actual original 911 tape of this call. Caitlin, do you have the tape of this ready to go?
911 emergency, what is your emergency, sir?
Yeah, I need some more weed.
Sir, you called 911, this is an emergency, what is your emergency?
I need more marijuana for medical purposes. For medical purposes.
Sir, are you having a medical emergency? Do we need to send an ambulance?
Well, yeah, if we get the weed here faster, that's fine. But otherwise, you can just put it in a car or something.
Sir, if you do not have an emergency, I'm going to need to hang up the phone.
No, it is an emergency. There's a 3D movie playing in like 20 minutes. So that's the 911 tape. Sounds definitely like a different person, right? Yeah. A rancher in Klamath Falls legally killed a gigantic 500-pound black bear. And then he killed a very small black bear. And then one that was just right. And he celebrated with some porridge. He deserved it. Actually, my favorite thing about this story generated a ton of insane comments on both like pro and con bear killing. And my favorite one was on the Oregonian, where a woman said this. She said, quote, "There's plenty of room for these bears to roam, but they are lazy. And come down the canyon in search of easier food sources." That's right, he was killed because he's a lazy bear. He deserved it for leeching off the cattle of the job creators. Get a job, bears. And also, since it was Klamath Falls, though, this is the thing that's important to remember, is we don't know if it was actually killed because it was a bear or because it was black. So, come on, you guys know that if that was a polar bear, they would have made him mayor. Calm down. All right, that's the monologue, everybody. Obviously, for the monologue, we spent a lot of time reading local news, and there was one local news source that you might be concerned. You might be like, I know, obviously, there's a lot of crime in West Lynn, but where can I read about all the different crimes that are taking place in West Lynn? I'm sure that's something you've thought to yourself before.
Because we're worried about people in West Lynn.
We are. It just seems so dangerous. But fortunately, the newspaper in West Lynn, the West Lynn Tidings, the West Lynn Tidings, which sounds like it's mostly a Christmas card. Not hard-hitting news, but they are kind enough to run the complete police blotter every week. So if you have not read the West Lynn police blotter, you're in luck because we have hired 2 professional actors to read it to you. Please welcome from Livewire, Andrew Harris and Laura Faye Smith!
May 1st, 1:13 a.m. A bottle of wine was stolen in the Bolton area.
May 1st, 1:57 p.m. A chicken thief was apprehended at Market of Choice on the 5600 block of Hood Street.
May 1st, 2:48 p.m. A resident at the 5000 block of Broadway Street found credit cards in the bushes.
April 28th, 9:25 a.m. A woman said she lost her passport.
April 28th, 4:31 p.m. A woman called to report her 3-year-old daughter was missing. She found the child in her house before officers arrived.
April 28th, 8:50 p.m. A resident said a woman was standing outside his home, throwing cigarette butts and challenging the residents to come outside. They did not know the woman.
April 29th, 11:58 a.m. A man was sitting on a boulder near the road at Parker Road and Wild Rose Drive.
April 30th, 8:58 a.m. A woman believed someone was coming to arrest her husband. It was a scam.
May 2nd, 9:49 a.m. Residents reported receiving unwanted, angry text messages from their son.
It's disgusting.
Please don't Ed Harris and Laura Faye Smith. Those are West Lynn problems. Are you ready for our first guest? Our first real guest? Great. She's the founder of App Camp for Girls. Please welcome out Jean MacDonald! Thank you for being here, Jean.
Thanks for having me. It's awesome to be here.
Do you know anyone on Twitter that could... Never mind.
I don't. I
No.
can't get G MacDonald on Twitter either, so.
You can't?
I screwed up with Twitter, you know. I took a name because I thought, well, I don't know if I want my real name out there. And then, obviously, everybody knows who you are on Twitter. But we didn't know back then. We thought it might be like a secret society, right?
So you were too early.
Yeah. And so now there's like all these women in Scotland who have G MacDonald and G MacD and whatever.
And you're like at Dragon Rainbow at 29. What is your Twitter handle?
It's Mac Genie. So
Mac
it's a cool, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It fits you. It feels like a rapper. And you said you're a musician, so I'm just assuming.
But now there's this food cart in Indianapolis, I swear, called Mac Genie, because they make mac and cheese like in all these like varieties and stuff.
Magical ways.
And their Twitter handle is Mac Genie Truck, but nobody gets that right, so I get their tweets.
You should send them on a quest. Like, if you can get the Twitter handle I want, you can have this one.
Oh.
And then you have to get, a flower on this mountaintop.
Let's talk about your product. This is fun. This is also like every comedian I talk to has the same problem because everybody's like, we got to it too late. You have the interesting problem, you're too early. But let's talk about your project. So you are the founder of App Camp for Girls.
Yes.
The New Yorker implied that you started this because you were at an Apple conference and you were like, too many dudes on the dance floor. And
As if.
And so you decided to try to do something about it. Tell us, is that about how it started? What was the idea?
Yeah, so I've worked for a while in the Mac and iPhone, iPad software business, and Apple throws this big developer conference every year in San Francisco. It's about 5,000 people come, and I literally one time was thinking, it's a room like 4 times the size of this at least, like a huge room, big session, probably 1,000 people, and I thought, it's kind of weird that I can only see one other woman in this room,
Yeah.
This is not like, I don't know, it's not a locker room, right? It's software.
Right.
And I don't care what people think about, like, why maybe girls aren't that good at math or whatever. I think there should be more. There should be more than 5%.
Unless there was like a conference, like another conference where they were talking about like the girl parts, and you should have been in that one.
Nope.
They weren't breaking you apart. This wasn't the big day of Apple Developer Conference.
No, it's not. But yeah.
So a lot of people would see that sort of a problem and be like, maybe I don't want to hang out in this club. You decided to get more women into the club, which I think is really cool. So you started you started young. You went for...
Yes. Well, I mean, there are things going on now, like trying to help women, become programmers, and but I know that, one thing I like to do is work with kids, and I had, for years I've been involved with the rock and roll camp for girls here in Portland, the most awesome camp ever.
Yeah.
And I say that including App Camp. I saw like what they do with the girls in 1 week, going from like 0 to rock star.
Yeah.
And it seemed like, couldn't we do something like that for software?
At the end of your session, do the girls get to present their apps with the Portland Cello Project at the Aladdin Theater? Because that would be pretty rad.
Okay. No, we do on the last day. Yeah, I thought about that because I was like, there's no equivalent of playing at the Baghdad
Right.
for software. Well, there's, software programmers, but I thought, what could we do that would let the girls show off what they're doing and sort of fit in? And I came up with this idea of, let's have a pitch session. Let's invite women investors. There's a ton of women angel investors and entrepreneurs here in Portland, and ask a few of them to come and listen to the girls' apps ideas that they created during App Camp. And so it's.
And what kind of ideas? What have they been building?
Well, they have a ton of ideas. It's really it's pretty overwhelming. But we do have only 1 week, and unlike rock and roll.
So there's only 3 chords in programming, right? It's the same.
Software actually does require precision.
Yeah, it seems like a lot.
So we spend some time at the beginning of the week where we teach them our tricks for coming up with app ideas and how you would narrow those ideas down into something you could do. And then we say, okay, now we're going to work on a project that we've put together for you so that you can complete it in 1 week. And so last summer we had a template for a quiz app. So basically, they all wrote personality quizzes. They were hysterical.
Finally, some personality quizzes.
But when these personality quizzes started hitting Facebook this year, and they're you can't really go in your timeline anymore without finding out, what kind of whatever your friends are.
Yeah.
I was like, we already did this last summer, So anyway, yes, personality quizzes. I mean, they could have written any kind of quiz they wanted to, but basically we created a structure with 5 questions and 4 answers, and 4 results. And so we built up the what they needed to have in Xcode, which is Apple's tool for writing iOS apps, and then they could put their artwork in and write their answers and figure out how they were going to grade the quiz and stuff like that.
And how did these are the 12-year-old-ish?
13, 14.
13, 14. And you brought them in and you were like, here is Xcode.
Yes,
your friends are at rock and roll camp. And how have they taken to it?
Okay, so we did surveys at the end of the week, and in both sessions that we had, they were like, we want to do more Xcode. I swear.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I was trying to make it so they had to do, they had all these other things to do, art and design, and we do, some non-computer activities as well, but these girls really wanted to geek out in the worst way possible, and so we were not able to keep up with the demand for how much. We had to make up an app on the spot for them to do because they finished the quizzes so fast.
So you're in your second summer of camps. Are you going to be? Is it getting geekier? Have you taken that feedback? Are you making it harder?
Yeah, we're gonna. We are. In fact, I was working with some of the programmers today on what we're going to do this summer, but we're not afraid of throwing a lot of Xcode project at them because we know that they like it.
So you crowdfunded this. We'll say since Andy's here, we'll say you used one of the top 5 crowdsourcing websites.
Well, we couldn't do Kickstarter. That we didn't fall under the rules of Kickstarter. So otherwise we would have.
You went to one of those rebel fundraisings.
Yeah.
What was the response like?
It was incredible, actually. We said, well, let's raise $50,000, and that will take us through the summer, plus to the beginning of next summer, and that was our goal, and we raised the $50,000 in 3 days, and I didn't even know what to do. I was I would have liked to actually turn the thing off at that point and say, okay, we got our 50, and
right.
But of course that's not what you do in crowdfunding.
No,
so we had 36 more days of fun.
So you make up the long goals.
Yeah.
Where it's we'll also go into making jeans, and then we're also gonna.
Yeah. So we said, okay, well, let's double down and go for 100,000, and the more money we raise, the sooner we can bring App Camp to other locations.
So you spread it. Yeah. So where is it now?
Well, this summer we'll be in Portland again, and in Seattle. So.
Great. And if somebody had 13 to 14-year-old girls, where would they what's the process? Are we still taking signups, or are you already full?
Well, we booked Portland instantly about a month ago.
Really?
Yeah, it's incredible. The demand is, we get way more applications than we have spots for, because we're small. We really just started. We really know what we're doing.
So we're running out of time, but I'm really curious. Like, so when you see that, are you heartened? You know that there's all these girls that want to go into it, and what happens between when you would have gotten them there and when you get to actual Apple level programming? Like it seems like the excitement's there, and then they're just not getting it. So are you you take them to camps, and then?
Well, they learn how important it is to learn how to code.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we give them a reason to want to learn how to code. They get excited about Objective-C, which, like, I challenge you. any
Way
of you
better
to
than
be excited.
Subjective-C, which is really hard. It's like,
So, yeah,
this may have worked. It depends on how you look at it.
That's for rock and roll.
I'm sure someone else has done that joke before.
No, actually,
No? Okay, good.
I've never heard
I'll
that.
take that.
But
I'm sure if I went to Subjective-C, someone already has that. Actually, that sounds like something way worse. Anyway, I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, it's a good joke, and I'm like stealing it.
It's not.
Yeah, so they finish the camp, and then we'd like to do a lot more programming for them. I mean, you know, in terms of things that they could do during the school year, things we could do at schools. I mean, there's all kinds of great things that are possibilities, but we are this tiny team, you know, that just said like, hey, let's just do this thing. So we're going as fast as we can, and we're excited about this summer.
App Camp for Girls sold out here in Portland, but thank you so much. We're reading a lot of science news for this week as well, science and tech news to get ready for the show. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting in the science world is that scientists said this week that they have found the sun's brother's son. Brother's son?
It's
long
a star.
lost brother.
Yeah.
It's a star that they're calling the long lost brother, of our sun. And I think it's weird that it's gendered. I don't know. It seems weird to me that we're thinking about that's the way they have to try to teach me science is by saying they're not like who is anyway. So here's what we decided to ask a scientist. We decided to ask an astronomer for his opinion, and the only astronomer that I know is Dr. Dale. So we're going to bring out an astronomer to talk to us about what the long lost brother star is like. Please welcome out Dr. Dale, everybody.
Good evening, I'm Dr. Dale.
Hi, Dale. Thanks for being here. So you, why don't you just tell everybody your credentials, why you know so much about this story?
Well, I'm a doctor of astronomy.
And how did you, what is that?
Well, you ever spend a clear night out on the high desert prairie?
No, I've never done that.
Well, anyone who does that is, in my book, a doctor of astronomy. See all them beautiful stars up there, just laying there with your horse, just looking up at the sky, assigning gender to everything you see.
So you do, the stars do have genders for you? The sun is a boy?
Absolutely, the sun is a man. I mean, he gets up every single day, going hard at work, helping to grow corn and help pretty ladies get tans.
All right, so if the sun is a man, what is the moon?
Oh, that's his granddaughter.
It's not his wife? I thought it was his wife.
No, the moon is not the sun. Well, I mean, like you see them a lot, but like they're close. But
Why is the moon a woman?
I don't know. Well, the moon's a woman. That's a granddaughter, and then her daddy is the Earth, and we're all on that.
The Earth is a boy now?
No, Mother Earth. Mother Earth is a...
Gaia.
Nope. I don't know what you're talking about. We're on a man right now.
Why is that, Dr. Dale?
I don't know. Whenever you're just laying out there in a high desert prairie, you know, I just feel like I'm on the chest of a big man. Makes sense.
What are some other...
Our daddy, yeah.
What are some other? Yeah, definitely like that. What are some other genders in astronomy that we didn't know about?
Well, Venus is a lady.
Venus is a lady, obviously.
Mars is a man.
Because of the razors, right?
Shit, I don't know.
Right, Mars is a man, sure.
Yeah, the asteroid belt, that's just a bunch of illegitimate kids. We ignore that.
What about Pluto? Is Pluto?
We don't talk about Pluto no more. She's running out there being all sassy-frassy, hanging out with that Oort cloud.
Let's just not talk about Pluto. How
We don't talk
about
about Pluto. Win against the
Saturn?
family, win against the family.
Saturn? How about Saturn?
Saturn's a boy.
Saturn's a boy?
Yep.
How about Jupiter? Yeah, Jupiter.
Jupiter's a guy.
Do all of them get along?
No, not all the time.
So you're sitting on the desert plain, you're laying down on your horse, on the man that is Earth.
Next to the horse.
Next to the horse.
Clear night, real clear sky. Some nights so clear you can just get up on your horse's back and lick the moon. Makes you a doctor.
How about Uranus?
You know, I usually try not to think about the one. I just kind of get uncomfortable.
Makes you
I
uncomfortable.
don't understand that one. It's kind of weird.
So did we actually find the sun's long-lost brother?
Well, the article says we're hoping it's the sun's long-lost brother. We have not gotten close enough to determine the gender of the other star. We're hoping it's a brother. I mean, if it's a sister, that's okay. It just kind of lessens the impact. I mean, we'll call her on her birthdays and stuff, but it'll be harder to, you know, open up emotion.
So you're hoping then that it's a brother?
Absolutely. It'll just be kind of easier.
Why did they get lost? Why are they estranged?
Shit, you'll have to talk to Venus about that.
All right, I'm done with you. Get out of here. Dr. Dale, everybody.
Dr. Dale.
Dr. Dale. Your next guest is totally real. He just finished up a great run at Bridgetown. He's a favorite over at Helium. Please welcome comedian Zach Toscani.
Doing well? All right. I'm Zach Toscani. I'm not from Portland originally. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, but I've been here for about 4 years. You from Ohio? Yes. That was so... You started so high, like, woo, Cincinnati, you from there? Yeah. I guess I'm from there. I love Portland. I don't think I'll ever leave Portland. You know, like, I love it here, but there's a few things that took me a while to get used to. Tattoos were the biggest thing. Where I'm from, not a lot of tattoos. A lot of old people have tattoos. They're not the type you ask about. You're gonna be like, hey, what's up that tattoo? They'd be like, ship sank. Like, oh, cool. But you come to Portland, it's different. You're like, what's up with that tattoo? They're like, I kind of like squids. It's like, you kind of like squids, you got them on your arm. It's like, well, now I like crabs and trombones and hearts. That's what I'm into. I used to be scared of tattoos when I was a kid. Isn't that weird? We used to be scared of them. Lived in Portland 4 years. Not scared of tattoos anymore. Not at all. I could be in a dark alley, big, tall, bearded, bald guy with a bunch of tattoos. I'm not scared. I'm like, I can talk to that dude about chutney. That guy's got strong opinions on fruit preservatives that are spreadable. That one guy was like, I'll give you 2 claps for that one. I'm not a good Oregonian yet, though. I've been here for 4 years and I don't really travel outside of Portland. I realized this because I was talking to someone who's from Oregon. And I was like, where do you work? And they're like, Mount Angel. And I was like, I don't know where that is. They're like, it's near Kaiser. No. Where do you live, though? And she's like, Wilsonville. I was like, I don't. I know a few towns in Oregon, I'll name them. I know Portland, all the locations of Buster's Barbecue, the Nike employee store. Those are the towns that I know in Portland, Oregon. Everywhere else is just whatever. I don't know. Shouldn't have just shit on a bunch of towns. Are you guys from out of town? Like, he just on everyone. I'm sorry. I'm single now. I'm 29. I'm single, and I'm facing that weird like fork in the road where it's like I either start online dating or I just cut off my dick right now. You just have to decide which one's going to be more painful in the long run. But it sucks because all my friends are in relationships, which means my life has never been more miserable because I have no one to do anything with. Like, I start with the first tier. All my first tier friends are all in relationships. You guys know what I'm talking about, the first tier, like the 5 people you're like, I'll hang out with them always. And then you have to go to the second tier of friends. You know, the ones where you're like, I have to be really drunk to be with them right now. It's weird. Even my roommates are in relationships. Like the other day I was like, hey, went up to my roommate Greg. I was like, let's go get super stoned, rent tuxedos, and go to the movies. And pretend we're at the Oscars. Yeah, I'm a fun friend. And he was like, nah, Lisa wants to go to Gresham. And I was like, why? And he goes, I don't even know. I just know if I don't go, she'll be upset. That's not good. Even my scumbag friends are in relationships. I had a friend who's in a relationship who recently liked Applebee's on Facebook. Some of you didn't laugh like that's a thing to do. You know what? I don't get it advertised enough on Applebee's. I need to let it know. Like, who's the woman who dates that person who's like, ooh, I need a man who knows about buffalo poppers. That's what I need. So single, I go on dates. I don't know if I've ever had one of those like really bad dates. Has anyone ever had like a really bad date where you pretend to get a phone call and you're like, oh my God, my whole family died. I have to leave. And you're like, well, who called you then? Like, no, it's not important. It's never happened. I've had some weird dates. I've had weird dates. Like I went to dinner with this girl and she was like, what's your favorite movie of all time? And I was like, well, I need a little bit more time to think about it. What about you? And she goes, Seabiscuit. That quick. You know what that means? That means when she got ready for the date, she's like, I'm talking about Seabiscuit. Seabiscuit. Probably not even the best horse movie I've ever seen. I saw Seabiscuit in theaters, and as I was leaving, I was like, I'll forget about this movie right now. That's what will happen. I was also on an online date with this girl, and I was kind of, talking to her. I had only been doing stand-up for a couple months at that point, so I didn't tell her that I did stand-up. So I was asking about her hobbies. I was like, what do you like to do outside of work? And she's like, I love stand-up comedy. I was like, all right. So I perk up in my chair. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And she goes, but there's a catch. And I was like, what's that? And she goes, I hate white comics. She was like, what do you do? And I was like, I definitely don't do stand-up, that's for sure. I'm not gonna be the one to change her, you know. It is weird. I'll finish with this. I'm 29 now. I'm not particularly bright. I'm not a bright person. You guys were like, yeah, you didn't have to tell us that. It's kind of just figured. But I realized this because I realized that I have white privilege for the first time. If you don't know what white privilege is, congratulations, you have it. I realized that I had white privilege because I was hanging around with a bunch of friends of different ethnicities, not bragging, and it's Portland. I'm bragging a little bit. But we were talking about cop stories, right? Like the worst thing that ever happened to us around the cops. And some of them had crazy stories. Like one of my friends was like, one time I asked a cop what time it was and he pepper sprayed me. I went to jail for 4 months. And I was like, holy shit. And then it got to me, the only white guy in the circle, and they're like, what's the worst thing that ever happened to you? And I was like, I've been treated amazingly by the police. If the cops were on Yelp, they get 5 stars, okay? I've been treated, it's like the Hilton, being checked into the Hilton when I see the police. Like the one time I was put in a cop car, I didn't do anything wrong, they just pulled over and they're like, it's late, get in. They were concerned about me. You understand that? When you're white, the cops are just your mom with a bulletproof vest on. They're like, Zach, it's late, get in. Yeah, we'll go to Taco Bell. We'll get in the back, you drive, you're white, no one's gonna say anything. The other time I realized I had white privilege was I was legitimately speeding on the highway going to Eugene for a comedy show, not just going there, because who does that? Your town's a little bit more. Cop pulls me over. I was going like 20 over. He's like, hey bud, what's the rush? And I was like, well, I'm a stand-up. I'm going to do a show in Eugene. I'm just a little late. And he goes, you're a stand-up, huh? You got any jokes about cops? So I was like, just respectful ones. And he looked at me and he's like, you're fucking hilarious, get the hell out of here. He's like, you're white, there's no speed limit on the way to your dreams. Thank you guys, been great.
He's the founder of the XOXO Festival and twice the founder of Upcoming.org. Please welcome to the stage, Andy Baio! Andy, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
This is so fun. So I'm not supposed to talk about Twitter handles at all, so we're just going to jump right in with you. You did this thing. We booked you a month ago, and you decided to make some news between then and now.
I did.
Which is like the nicest thing a guest could do for our show. You're
Keep it newsworthy, keep it relevant.
That's so cool. So you're refounding upcoming.org. Tell us about that.
This is the weirdest story. I feel like I'm in Groundhog Day. Basically, 10 years ago, I did a website in the Friendster era, long time ago.
Friendster was only 10 years ago?
I know, it's crazy. The Friendster and MySpace era. It was a site called Upcoming, and it was a social event calendar. It was a way. It was an event calendar anybody can contribute to. It used your social network to help find interesting stuff in the
primitive social network.
At the time, this was a novel idea to use the social network for something besides stalking other people online.
Right, you could tell them where you're going to be.
And then they'd be able to stalk you in the future. That's right, innovation.
So you founded that, Yahoo gobbled it up.
Yeah, so I started it myself, and then after my son was born, I had no time to work on it, and I got a couple friends involved. They joined as co-founders, and then within 2 years after launch, it had grown to the point that Yahoo came knocking. They were interested in some friends of mine started a site called Flickr, and they, which some people have heard of, yeah, and they were like sort of tasked with bringing in interesting projects, and Upcoming was one of them. And so we agreed to sell it wasn't even a company. I was doing it on the side from my day job. It was just a website, but it was. They agreed to buy it, and so we went and hoping that they would be able to provide the resources to make it grow and get better and all those things.
Sometimes that happens.
Sometimes. Not that time. So what happened was, actually for a short period of time, for the 2 years that we were there, it grew, it got better, and then after we left, it sort of fell apart, and then last year they shut it down.
Do they have to call you when they're going to shut down a project they bought from you? Do they give you a courtesy text message or something?
No, not even.
You found out with everybody else?
Yep.
I
was hearing rumblings, like whispers from people that I'd known that were still at the company, and so about a year before they shut it down, and even before that, there'd been like a leaked slide from an internal meeting. When a company like Yahoo is having trouble, there's like a lot of unrest, and so people like start leaking to the press, different things. So they had another site called Delicious that people knew were going to be shutting that down. They were going to shut down Upcoming, but it took years for like that process to kind of work itself out.
And at some point in there, they also decided to not ruin Flickr. They were like working on it, and they were like, maybe we'll let it be okay, and then they like kept.
Yeah, so Marissa Mayer, who was previously at Google, she came on as the CEO and started making changes. They acquired Tumblr and decided double down on Flickr. But Upcoming, they're just like it was never a great fit for them, and so they decided to just kill it.
So they didn't call you when that happened. When did they contact you, or did you contact them and say, hey, wouldn't it be fun to do this again?
So it was last month. I got an email out of the blue from someone who I'd known at Yahoo, and he's like, we're going to be auctioning off a bunch of domains. Like there was this period of time where they were just registering random domains, like yahoosucks.com and like just like all these .biz and ridiculous things that they're never going to use, and then finally they're like, oh, we don't need them anymore. So
maybe someone else wants yahoosucks.biz.
Maybe someone would. I don't know. I got this email and they're like, if we're going to get rid of this anyway, let's just give, do you want it?
And when you first got that email, were you like, definitely I want Upcoming back in my life? Or were you like, I don't know if I want to do this right now?
That's the thing. Again, it's like Groundhog Day, right? Yeah. It's like, do I really want to go back and create something that I did 10 years ago? I have other stuff that's going on. But the fact is that there is like an Upcoming shaped hole in my life. And for the people that used it, well, that was the thing. I had no idea if anybody cared aside from me.
Right.
So I thought, how could I possibly, I'm not gonna go spend the time that it's gonna take to do this unless people actually care.
Right.
So I decided to set up this Kickstarter project to see if, if there was anybody else that felt the same way as I did.
You also helped build Kickstarter, so you when you were doing that, were you like, this is going to be part of my, I'll need this later?
I did not think that. I've done 3 Kickstarter projects now. Each one of them changed my life in weird ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was I was involved at a very early stage before they started writing any code. I met the former CEO and founder Perry Chen through Katarina Fake, one of the two co-founders of Flickr, and you know, it seemed like an amazing project, and they none of them were coders. They're not engineers, and they needed help trying to get the thing off the ground. So
They just had this great idea for a watermelon handle and no way to fund it. So they found you and then built the thing, and then they...
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I helped them hire the technical team and
There's a lot of different watermelon handles available on Kickstarter. Just thought you should know that.
Is that a thing?
There's 3 different. None of them got fully funded, but there were 3 different projects. We were working on a sketch about when your friends have a Kickstarter program and they try to get you to they pressure you at parties.
There's a whole lot of wallets. I know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's a big wallet scene.
Yeah, so we were trying to think of what would be a funny fake Kickstarter. We're like, well, a handle for a watermelon. There are 3 of them. 2 that attach to the watermelon and then 1 that just kind of cradles it. Anyway, I'm sorry. I just wanted to explain why I said that weird random thing. But keep on upcoming. There's so many different forks, and I want to talk to you about all of them, and we don't have time for all of them, but I want to talk to you about upcoming more. So you raised this Kickstarter. You went to them because that was like a proof of concept, right? Do people need this?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. If I'm gonna go devote, a good chunk of my life to something, I'd like to know that it's, there's gonna be people on the other end that care about it. And the fact is that there hadn't been anything quite like Upcoming's. There was a period of time where it was a really interesting way of finding out what was going on, because the site was unique in that every event that was on it was added by a member of the community. It wasn't events that they were running themselves, it was stuff that they wanted to go to. So it ended up with this stuff that fell under the radar of the local weeklies and event listings, and that was why part of why I did it in the first place was I was hearing about interesting, weird stuff, losing track of it. I'd hear about, a friend would go to something and then I'd hear about it afterwards, and that was really frustrating.
Right.
And so there was this period of time where it was great, but again, I had no idea if anybody cared. So I launched this project, and with it was a $30,000 goal, which would be to me, it was the bare minimum to get it off the ground with just me, developing it. And it hit that in 90 minutes.
Yeah. Were you surprised at that?
I was really surprised.
I feel like with your track record, that if you said you wanted to fund a watermelon handle, I would be like, yeah, I'd do that. I just assume if you did it, it would be a really kick-ass watermelon handle with some social integration.
It would be It would be the first Bluetooth LE
right, that's also
watermelon handle.
It's also micro loans in Asia. It would be really a great hand. It just seems like it's very modest of you, but it also seems like that if you were into a project, people would get behind it. You have a great track record.
I think part of it is that I wouldn't fund a watermelon handle.
Well, sure, right. That's exactly right.
I think if I go use, I mentioned, I've done 3 projects, and the first one was 2 weeks after Kickstarter came out, and that was the smallest project I did, but it was an album called Kind of Bloop, which this is a terrible idea. This is a terrible idea.
Did it get funded?
Yeah, it did, and I love it. I think it's great, but people either love it or hate it. Basically, the idea was, I love chiptunes, which is video game music, 8-bit style, and I like jazz, of course. So put the 2 together.
Blue.
So it was going to be the 50-year anniversary of Miles Davis's Kind of Blue. So a full-length album tribute to Kind of Blue, composed on the NES.
Was gonna be, so it didn't happen?
It did.
Oh, it did?
It did,
yeah.
no,
Great.
It funded in, I think, 3 hours.
And is it great?
I love it. You can go buy it at kindofbloop.com if you want to go hear what that sounds like.
How do you spell?
BLOOP.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Kind of Bloop. And then the second one was XOXO.
Right. What's the quick, I assume this is a hugging and kissing festival.
It's pure hugs and kisses. There are quite a, I would say my co-founder Andy McMillan is in the audience. And Andy, fair to say, a lot of hugs and kisses. Yeah, definitely a lot of hugs. More hugs than kisses. But XOXO, the short version, is that it's an arts and technology festival about independence. It's about artists and makers and hackers of all kinds that are using the internet to make a living doing what they love on their own, maintaining creative and financial control over their work. And we bring in all kinds of people, musicians and filmmakers and video game designers and hardware hackers and all these cool people, and just smush them all in one room. And we do an arcade and do film screenings with the directors and a tabletop event and maybe some comedy. We'll see where things go.
I mean, all of us are controlling our own destinies.
It's true.
In the sense that nobody's buying comedy.
You haven't. So you haven't sold out yet.
No. But my favorite coffee in the city is No So Familiar coffee, you guys. 6 generations.
Consummate pitchman.
Yeah, but we haven't sold out. So that's. But has it been growing? This is your 3rd year coming up?
Yeah, we're going into the 3rd year this September, and it's crazy. The first year was funded with a Kickstarter project, and again that was like an all or nothing thing. We said if it sold out completely, we would do it, and if not, we would just walk away. And that sold out completely in 2 days. Ended up being a $175,000 project with 400 passes sold. This last year, it sold out in 2 hours. I don't know what's going to happen this year. It's going to be an epic disaster.
Next year it'll sell out. Next year it'll sell out before it even goes on sale.
That's right.
And
I'll have to kickstart a time machine to go back in time. Get a DeLorean.
See, if it was, if most people said that, I'd be like, no way. But if you were like, time machine, I'm building it, T-shirt at $15, I'd be like, yeah, definitely.
No stretch goals though.
No.
I'm not a big fan of the stretch goals.
I'm not either. I find the stretch goals creep me out. I feel like it's like, we got it, everything we asked for, now we're also going to start a TV company. It just seems so weird.
To me, it just like sets you up for failure. It's a crazy thing. So it's like, if I said, I've had people ask, the moment you hit your goal like that quickly, people are like, get ready with your stretch goals. The problem is like if I started offering, we're going to do an iPhone app if we hit, $100,000 or $200,000, whatever. I don't know that, and I don't know that it, maybe we'll do it, maybe we won't, but making those kind of promises seems weird to me.
It also seems like you'd have an iPhone app. I'm just guessing. If not, I know some girls.
That's true. Gene, where are you?
And how long before Yahoo buys this and ruins it?
Never.
Yeah. Pretty exciting. Well, anyway, you also blog at
Waxy.org.
Waxy.org. Yeah. All right, at waxpancakewaxy.org. Ladies and gentlemen, Andy Baio! Adam Shearer and the Alialujah Choir!
Sheets made of bed. Tonight we're not alone. I am not scared. We shared our pills when we needed hope. Brushed my arm in the hall when you walked by. that's what I saw. Out through the door of his office, you love him, I'm all alone, covered in
Thanks very much. The Alialujah Choir, everybody. Adam, you have business to do? Great. So you, Adam, you've been putting out records with Wineland. That's your band, Wineland. And then you decided on this folk supergroup that we have before us.
My name is Adam.
Yeah.
This is Adam. That's Adam. And Adam.
One of those is not real.
Adam runs a really amazing recording studio called Type Foundry. And Wineland recorded all of our records at Type Foundry. And at one point Adam plays in this amazing band called Norfolk and Western. And at one point we realized both of our folk bands had turned into rock bands. So he said we should start a folk group.
To get back to folking.
And we went back to our roots. Not rocks. We went back to our rocks.
Will you play us one more song?
Yeah, we will.
Let's do the Alialujah Choir!
Thanks, guys. This song is called Tell Me.
tell me. Take me to a side room, close the door and lock it. Say the things you want to say when you are broken. Ooh, wait, tell me. And if that's true, I am blessed to be here. Oh no. I ain't got fine wine, aging in a cellar, funds that can retire, old and down and dire. Ooh, wait, not me. I may be an old man, brewing all your coffee, taking all your orders, hearing all the sirens go. Ooh, wait, I hope that it's not for me. Oh no. And if that's true, I am blessed to be here. Oh no. Oh no.
Thanks very much. We're Alialujah Choir.
Thank you so much for being here, everybody. We'll be back again sometime soon. Go to latenightAction.com to find out more about our upcoming shows and find out more about all of today's guests. That's it. Have a good night, everybody.